Hey y'all, welcome to Big Texas Bossin, the show that spills the Texas tea on bossing up, tossing coins, and living your biggest and best life on your own terms. I'm your host, Lalani Wilson Jones.
It's time for Big Texas Bossin with Lalani Wilson Jones. Spilling the tea on bossing up.
In this segment, we will talk with Will Harvey about being an ex-athlete on the road to becoming an entrepreneurial mastermind. We will delve into his resume, both past and present. We will discuss his real estate ventures and how it makes him a boss in Texas and Georgia. We will also cover his strategy for leveraging his brand and bossing up his business and nonprofit ventures. Welcome, Mr. Harvey.
Thank you.
Tell us, who is Will Harvey?
Will Harvey, he's a father, he's a brother, he's a son. He's a guy just trying to make an imprint in this big old world out here and make a difference at the same time.
All right. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your NFL career?
Well, I bounced around a couple of NFL teams. I ended up going to Canada, playing CFL ball for 5 years. I was based in Calgary as well as Toronto.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So at what phase of your career did you have a backup plan from football?
The backup plan, it started as a teenager in high school and college. I knew a lot of professional athletes. Actually, my uncle was a professional. He was a professional athlete in the NFL for many years. He didn't have a backup plan, and I've noticed a lot of people didn't have a backup plan. I knew football wasn't going to be forever. I knew the life expectancy of an athlete, and I wanted to have a real and sustainable career. So that's where I decided when I went to college that I was going to be in environmental management. I didn't want to be in the office all day. I want to be outside, be around people, so I wouldn't see the four walls closing in on me.
All right. So tell us about what made you decide to go on and obtain an MBA. Where did you obtain your undergraduate degree from?
I went to the illustrious Louisiana State University, Go Tigers. Got my undergraduate as BS in environmental management, and I received my MBA at Texas Women's University here in Houston.
Okay, that's wonderful. What made you have the foresight to see that you needed an MBA?
Foresight for me to get an MBA, I didn't want to be stagnated or in a complacent space in corporate America. And for me to excel and for me to grow in the industry, I knew I needed a advanced degree. And me having an MBA gave me that opportunity to progress and grow and have a business set mind state.
Right. That's absolutely fantastic. So in your transition, was that difficult going from sports into the corporate world?
I say yes and no. And the reason why I say yes and no is because there's a lot of parallels and there's a lot of differences. Transitioning from playing professional ball, which is an individual as well as a team sport, but also as a accomplishment in a business and as in incentives of you performing well. And in the corporate America, in some instances, you have to work with a team, and some that you're working definitely solo, and a lot of your accolades are based on your performance, how well you do, and what you deliver.
Absolutely. So what was your first position after you left the NFL or you left the league?
Ironically, I was working as a consultant for an environmental construction consulting firm. They built hospitals, they built apartment complexes. They also built commercial buildings. So I was their environmental specialist for the company.
Okay, that's awesome. And so you've transitioned quite a bit. Let's talk about your journey and the transition that got you to where you are now.
Do we have enough time?
Probably not. I'm sure it was a tumultuous, rocky road. I love those stories. If you could just give us
it was definitely a learn lessons throughout the way. It gave me time to grow. It gave me time to understand who I am as a person, for me to understand myself as a businessman, as a leader, a manager of sorts, working with people, managing people. So the transitions was pretty, it was hard, but it was fair. I learned some life lessons that I use today for me to really strive in the industry that I'm in today.
Can you give us an example of what you use today from the lessons that you learned?
People management. I not only that I'm a realtor myself, I have a team that's under me, and it's called the Harvey team. And managing a team, managing people, managing personalities, managing the business sense, and knowing how to direct and also lead at the same time, and make sure that everybody's accountable for their actions and what they do and their performance, goes a long way for me. And it taught me a lot in the corporate America, me learning these life lessons.
Absolutely. I truly understand, as a business owner myself, holding people accountable to their day-to-day task even sometimes can be challenging. What do you find is your best mechanism to keep people going through a pandemic?
Well, like I tell everybody, I don't really have a certain management style. I would consider it or tag it as adaptive, because everybody is different. So you have to manage people from where they are and where you want them to be. Especially during this pandemic, nobody really knew or understood what was happening. How do we manage it? How do we still work our day to day? Especially being an entrepreneur, we can't take PTO. We can't take 6 days off.
Tell me about it.
So we still have to go no matter what. And understanding managing the life events, understanding managing things that happen in day-to-day basis is very challenging, but it's exciting at the same time. It keeps me going. It keeps me motivated. And it definitely creates a dynamic environment. So it's never a dull moment. Everything is different every day.
Right. Now, you are in 2 states. Not only are you challenging the ever-changing market of Houston, Texas, you're also in Georgia. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and how you handle being in 2 states?
Well, I consider myself bi-coastal. I always wanted to expand, and not only expand, create a legacy. It worked out that my brother actually lives in Georgia. He just retired. He wanted to get into real estate, and it kind of pushed me to the extent like, this is a chance for me to grow. I can invade another state and take over another state, as well as create a legacy for not only our family, for our kids, and that we wanted to have some sustainable. A lot of people, the rich people, have real estate portfolios, and I wanted to see the difference. You can never be great if you just do one thing. And seeing 2 different views of how real estate is handled in 2 different states creates a better dynamic for me to teach my agents, to teach myself, and for me to grow in the industry. Because you see 2 different things. You see how people interact, you see how business is done in 2 different states, and you see how you can be better and when you move forward to take over the next state.
Absolutely.
In the next world.
Right. What would you say the biggest difference in doing business in Texas versus Georgia is?
Um, Anybody tell you getting your license in Texas is absolutely the hardest license to get in any of the states in the U.S. So getting Georgia, and it was, I wouldn't say it was easier, but they do things differently. We're a title state here.
Right.
Georgia's an attorney state. So when you do closings, you have to do little things a little bit more different. Things that you pay for and come out of pocket for. Yes, they may have a bigger sales price tags on it, but they take a lot more money out. That is definitely a state tax state for
Okay.
sure.
They love their taxes, huh?
Yes. The clientele is definitely different. You have different walks of people. I would say, here in Texas, you have more of your oil and gas and healthcare rooted people here. Majority of them. In Georgia, it's more of your entrepreneurs, military people. So there's the different people that you would have to run across and know how to maneuver around these people and make sure you can get what their needs are and that their needs are met as well.
Okay, so the clientele in closing in Georgia is different from the clientele in Texas. And how do you balance who your clients are?
Well, I've been blessed, and I say this with no hesitation that I've been blessed with majority of my clientele has been through referrals.
Nice.
There's no lead generations, no marketing. It's solely been from referrals, and I'm in the business of not just making money. I mean, everybody's in the business of making money, but for me, it's the connection. It's the people first. It's the people connection that I like to make with the people. So it's about the people for me.
Okay.
And when you connect with the people, money will come. And
Mm.
it's been that way for me since I started this real estate industry.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Now tell us what birthed the idea for the Mansa Musa project. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So real estate is my love. I love real estate. I love it. I love it. I love it. But the kids, they're my passion. So what birthed the Mansa Musa project? Well, let me step back. Let's talk about who the man is. Mansa
Okay.
Musa was a black king who was the richest man that ever lived to date. And what made him so profound is that not only was he the richest man, he gave all his riches away. And for me, my riches are my resource. So then the inner city schools now, they were taking a lot of these resources away from the inner city kids. So there's no more cosmetology. There's no more home ec, no wood shop, no real work. College is not for everyone.
Right.
Military is not for everyone. So what do you leave these kids to do? What are they able to do besides being out in the streets, getting in trouble, things like that? I provide resources for these kids so they can have a different opportunity to do things. So with that being said, my riches are my resources that I give to these kids. I provide them not only mentoring, tutoring. Mental health is huge in the community, especially
Yes.
in the inner city. We give them counseling, and we also do the parent portion. We try to bring the parent back into the dynamic because most of these parents are working 2 or 3 jobs, or they're not really around to rear their kids. So I try to bring them back in the fold, and that's what speared this Mansa Musa project. The love and the energy I have for these kids, to be around the kids, because at the end of the day, they are our future. We're going to need them. So if we don't give them any direction, how can we expect them to strive?
Absolutely. Can you tell me a little bit about what you didn't expect from one of your mentees in the project?
What I didn't expect.
Was there
Well,
anything that caught you by surprise?
well, yeah, a lot of my mentees, well, I won't say a lot of them has really strived from the program. We teach them some life lessons. Like some of these kids don't even know how to tie a tie, change a tire, what they need to do for an interview, how to do an interview, how to dress for an interview, what they need to do about a resume, what their resume need to look like, what does it need to say,
Right.
how to even prepare for it or write a college application. We do all these different things for these kids and provide them all these resources so they can have that step up that some of us were provided, some of us wasn't provided. But we definitely wanted to give them these things. And a few of my kids are going to some big schools. Some of them are going to some small schools, but they have full rides. A lot of them
awesome.
A lot of them is academic rides, not even just sports, which is ecstatic over the moon over, and it's a success story for me.
Absolutely. Tell us what's next for your business.
Well, my ultimate goal is to be the real estate mogul for the South. I want to take over the South, all the southern states. I want to invade all those states, be a who's who household name, myself and my team. And I want to give back. And, the Master Music Project, I definitely want that to grow. I definitely want that to expand.
Absolutely.
And I want to have that reach for the kids because at the end of the day, for me, it's about the kids.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Can you tell us where we can find you?
Sure. You can find me at www.harveywill. I like that email. That website because, if nobody can do it, Harvey will. So harveywill.com. And you can reach me on Instagram at Will the Realtor _ And last but not least, you can always reach me on Facebook at Will Harvey, the real estate giant.
All right. Well, that is wonderful. The Big Texas Bossin podcast can be found on every major streaming site. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Big Texas Bossin. Subscribe to Big Texas Bossin podcast, YouTube. Watch for alerts and more episodes. Until next time, keep bossing up, tossing coins, and living your biggest and best life. Thank you, Mr. Harvey. It's been a pleasure.